Welcome to Let's Talk with Tara, the space where real life meets real answers. I am Dr. Tara T. Stallings, counselor and coach, here to help you navigate life's toughest challenges. Together, we'll explore psychological insights, emotional healing, relational growth, and biblical truths to empower your journey. So grab a seat, lean in, and let's have the conversations that matter the most. Welcome. So today we're going to be talking about facing the fear of rejection and some strategies for resilience. What would you pursue in life if fear of hearing no didn't stop you? I want you to let that sink in. What would you pursue in life if the fear of hearing no? Let's talk about what is rejection really. Rejection isn't just a moment. It is an experience that hits us on a deep emotional and neurological level. The brain processes social rejection much like physical pain. That's why it hurts so bad when the rejection is minor or indirect. Rejection hurts because connection matters. We are designed to be connected with one another. Rejection is painful because we were created for love and acceptance. He created us that way. And we all we all crave love and acceptance. But fear of rejection becomes bondage. I'm going to say that again. But fear of rejection becomes bondage when it keeps you from showing up fully. Now, who am I talking to? Now, everybody has experience rejection in some form or fashion or some level. But I'm talking about those that are in bondage from the fear of rejection. And what are some of those signs? Avoiding dating. You avoid speaking. You avoid applying for a job, or you avoid confrontation. You change yourself constantly to be accepted. This is some signs of rejection. So that means you're a chameleon. So whatever environment you're in, you adapt to it. You change who you are. You edit who you are constantly so that you can be accepted around people or places or things. Taking no as proof that you're not good enough. When someone tells you no, you take it personal and you feel like you're not good enough for it. That's a person that's in bondage of the fear of rejection. Rejection is redirection, not a reflection of your worth. Let me say that. Rejection is redirection, not a reflection of your worth. Rejection is often divine protection. Yes, it is. It's often divine protection. It's protecting you from something that could potentially harm, hurt, or kill you. It's not a not them or not now, not a or not you. That's not rejection. That's not what rejection is. It's redirection. Redirection. So let's understand rejection from a therapeutic perspective. So in early childhood wounds can cause a fear of rejection. It originates a lot of times in your childhood, especially if you come from a home where love was conditional. It was conditional. Or affection was withheld, or individuals were punished for, or your individuality was punished. Let me say that, not individual, but your individuality was punished. So what happens is, let me give you some examples. Parents favor siblings. That's rejection. Emotional needs were ignored. That's rejection. You felt like too much or not enough as a child. Now it's a difference, because I've been told that you just doing too much. Now, sometimes you can do too much, but when you feel like too much because of who you are, or you don't feel like you're enough, you become rejected. The impact is you learn how to earn acceptance, or worse, I'm not lovable unless I fit in. Now, I don't want to go too fast, but I don't want to be on here too long. But I want to make sure you hear that. You feel like you're not lovable unless you fit in. So that's that chameleon. So you try to fit in places you were never created to fit, because you're that fear of rejection. So children who experience emotional abandonment or inconsistency often grow into adults with avoid emotional risk altogether. They avoid emotional risk altogether. They become withdrawn. So I'm going to read it again. I'm going to say that again. Children who experience emotional abandonment or inconsistency often grow into adults who avoid emotional risk altogether. Emotional risk. They're not going to do anything that's going to hurt them, that's going to affect them emotionally. So now let's look at this from a neurological perspective. Rejection and the nervous system. So now y'all know I mess up words sometimes. Amygdala, the fear center, amygdala, becomes hypersensitive. Even perceived rejection, someone thinking too much, taking too long to text back, or not being invited, can trigger anxiety, shame, or negative overthinking. This leads to the fawn responses, which is people pleasing. We talked about that last week. People pleasing, or avoidance of vulnerability. So you have two kind of dichotomies here. It leads to the fawn experiences, people pleasing, because you feel you want to fit in, or you avoid vulnerability. So you go to one extreme to the other. So signs, I want to talk about some of these signs. Signs you are operating from rejection of fear. You don't speak up because you fear being dismissed. So you get quiet. You have these thoughts in your head, and you think to yourself, well, I don't want to say anything because they might dismiss me, or they may, cut me off, or I may sound crazy. So this is the thoughts that some of you may be having, or they may dismiss your what you have to say. You shrink around confident people, or people you perceive to be confident. You shrink around them, because perception is everything. You apologize when you didn't do anything wrong. You always apologize. Oh, I'm sorry. Stop being sorry. You reject yourself first. Now, let me just say that. You reject yourself probably. They probably, and you say things like, they probably won't like me anyway, or they probably won't like my idea anyway. You reject yourself to protect yourself emotionally from the rejection that you perceive is going to come from other people. The fear of rejection. So what are some practical examples of rejection fear in everyday life? So what does it look like every day? You avoid dating because you fear being ghosted or compared. Okay. You don't apply for leadership roles because of past job rejections. You constantly replay, listen to me, you constantly replay conversations, worried you said too much or you didn't say enough. You suppress your needs to keep the peace in relationship. You suppress your needs so you can keep the peace in a relationship. You don't speak up. You don't share how you feel. And that's based in the fear of rejection. The fear of rejection. So, how do you reframe that from a therapeutic perspective? Rejection says more about the other person's capacity or um, uh, com- comparing them than your value. So when you think about rejection, you have to reframe those thoughts. You say, well, it's not about me, it's about their capacity or them being comfortable or compatible with your value. Not every no is personal, it's positional. These are things that you have to reframe and to change the dynamics of how that fear, the amygdala in your brain, the fear center, so you can reframe it so that you can break free from that the rejection, the rejection of fear. What's some practical steps? Journal a recent no or rejection and write two interpretations. One that shames you, one that protects or redirects you. Choose the one that empowers you and matches your truth. This is how you have to reframe it, because if you don't do something different, you won't get something different. I'm going to say that again. If you don't do something different, you definitely won't get something different. So I still want to kind of stay here in this vein with the therapeutic perspective. So let's separate rejection from identity. So a therapeutic truth is rejection may touch your feelings, but it doesn't define your identity or your value. That's the truth. I'm going to say that again. Rejection may touch how you feel, but it doesn't define who you are, your identity or your value. The problem isn't being rejected. The deeper issue is believing rejection means I'm not worthy. It's the meaning that how you perceive rejection. It's not that you're being rejected, it's how that you perceive it, that you're not worthy. They are rejecting me. And that's not the truth. That is not the truth. So create a list, a truth list of who you are beyond what people say. Because what happens is this: most people that struggle with fear of rejection, they are more concerned with what people say, how they say it, more so than what you say about yourself. So let me just share a quick little story with you from my experience. And I had to learn this, and I say this so often. I had to be delivered from people, because see, as long as, and this is the fear of rejection, as long as you are more concerned on what people think about you, your perception of what they think, whether they said it or not, they told it to you or not, is going to override what you think about you. So many of you guys, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I am a therapist, but I'm also a life coach. I own a couple of businesses. So, and I've been working with people for over 35 years. So I had to learn early on in life, early on in my early 20s, that if I navigated my life based on the fear of people liking me or not liking me, that I would be, kind of go back, I would be in bondage. And I didn't use that word, but I would be trapped in my emotions in my head, worried about if a person liked me or not. So I had to get delivered from people. I had to get I had to get okay with saying no. I had to be okay with if you don't, if you, and I want to credit a lot of this to my mom because she would say little things. And I, you know how when you're young, you don't grasp it until you get older. And my mom used to say, "No, don't bother me." I know that's incorrect English, but she said, "No, don't bother me." So, and what she meant was, you can tell me no. No doesn't mean you rejected me. You just said no. No, not right now, for whatever reason. That's your issue. But I'm going to ask. It's not going to stop me from asking just because you tell me no. Now, we use that terminology, a closed mouth, don't get fed. Well, if you're afraid to open your mouth because you're afraid that someone's going to say no and you're going to feel rejected because now you're taking it personally, you will be trapped. You will be in bondage of that fear of rejection. It's not rejection, it's repositioning. It's repositioning. So my mom used to, as I was growing up, she used to say, you can tell me no all you want to. It's not going to stop me from asking. Because it may be no today and yes tomorrow. So as I became an adult and I realized, hey, I was afraid to ask people things because I'm afraid they're going to tell me no. So what? They tell me no. I tell people no if I don't want to do something, and I'm going to share with you what broke me out of it. It's a funny, it may sound funny to some of you guys, but this is a true story. Now, my first profession is a licensed cosmetologist, and I own a salon. So growing up, I was taught to, the polite thing was to, when you had something to offer, is to say, if you had some food, you offer, would you like to have some? So this particular day, I had worked a lot. I was really tired and I was very hungry. And I politely asked a client or someone that was in the salon, hey, being polite, I didn't want to share, but I asked them, hey, would you like to have some? And they responded, yes. And that ate up most of my food. I was being polite because that's what I was taught. But in reality, I didn't want to share my food. So after that, I said, I'm not telling that lie anymore. I'm not offering anybody any food unless I want to offer it. So what I started doing was, this is what I started doing with people. If I didn't want to share, I didn't share. I said, now I'm not sharing my food, but now if you want me to buy you some, I will. But I'm not offering to share because I felt like, well, wait a minute. I'm being doing the right thing, and this person being honest, they wanted something. Instead of me just saying no, or not offering, they ate up all my food just about. So after that, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is hurting me. I'm not doing that anymore. So what I did was, from that day on, now had added some more things in there, but I'm kind of using that experience. But it helped me to, I didn't ask anybody. I don't ask people for their food. I don't, I got delivered from people. I stopped caring what people thought. Now, let me say this. I care how people see me, but I can't control what you think about me. I can't control that, and nor do I care. Let me just say that. No, nor do I. When I use that, nor do I care, because I know who I am, and I'm not going to knowingly do anything that's hurtful or harmful to you. And if I do, if I feel like it, or if you say something if I hurt you or did something to hurt you, I'm definitely going to apologize, and that's never my intent. My intent is never to do harm to anyone. But for me, Karen, how you think about me, I don't, it doesn't bother me. You don't have to like me. I don't have to like you, but I have to respect you. And that's how I look at it. A person does not have to like me. They have to respect me, because I demand respect, because I'm going to give them respect. So that's kind of what I use for me when I got delivered from people, and saying no to people, or feeling like when someone tells me no that I'm rejected. I know I'm not. I know who I am. I know who I am. I remember when I was married, and and I'm not saying this to down my ex-husband, because I'm definitely not, because it takes two to make it and two to break it. But I remember him saying, "Oh, nobody gonna want you," and my comeback was, "Well, you wanted me." And that's how well, you wanted me. So if nobody gonna want me, that's fine. But you wanted me, so somebody did, and somebody will again. So I didn't take that as, oh, wait a minute, nobody's gonna want me. I don't care, because what's for me is for me. I know who I am. I know I'm confident in myself. So let's revisit the journey to heal. So when we talk about um, um, rejection, you have to normalize discomfort and build a rejection resilience. That's what I had to do. Confident doesn't mean you won't be rejected. I mean, you got the right to tell me no, because I have the right to tell you no. It means you won't fall apart when somebody tells you no. You're not feeling guilty and sad. That's being delivered from people, being delivered from the fear of rejection. Confidence doesn't mean you won't get rejected, or people say, "Well, I don't want that." It is. It's their right, just like it's your right. It means that because somebody tells you no, or somebody doesn't like you, or somebody doesn't like what you say, or how you said it, or who you are, you're not their type. You're not gonna fall apart. People have their own autonomy of who they are, what they like, and you cannot change that. So a strategy to help you with that is create a courage goal this week. This is what I want you to apply. Create a courage goal this week. Apply, act, and impress, even if rejection is possible. So I want you to move past your fear. You apply for it, you ask for it, you express how you feel. If this is a job, you apply for the job, you ask for what you want, you express how you feel, no matter if they seemingly rejection, because remember, rejection is not rejection, it's repositioning. So anchor identity in truth, not opinion. If one no can destroy you, your identity is in the wrong place. If one no can destroy you, your identity is in the wrong place. So check your identity. God acceptance is permanent, even when man acceptance isn't. So you got to know who you are. You have to know who you are. Rejection may sting, but it's not the end of your story. It might be that story or that chapter, but it's not the end of your story. Every time you risk truth, vulnerability, or showing up anyway, you're building emotional immunity. Listen, you're proving to yourself, I can be disappointed and still be whole. I can be rejected and still be worthy. See you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk with Tom. If you found today's conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Let's keep this dialogue going. Follow me on Let's Talk Tom for more insights and encouragement. Remember, every step forward starts with an honest conversation. Until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and keep talking.